Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to meet all of you. I'm so glad that I could meet all of you on Teachers' Day. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about learner-centered approach. And a couple of points that I want to cover are just these, after which we'll get into the question and answer mode. We will ask, you can ask any questions that you have with respect to learner-centered approach or with respect to teaching. And if I know the answer, I'll give the answer. If not, we'll take the answer from other teachers as well. Let's learn from each other. And we would also, I would also like to let you know that some of the examples I give would be related to teaching English, and you can adapt it accordingly for any subject that you teach. As I happen to teach English, the examples I give would be related to teaching English. So this is what I plan to discuss today. I'm not a big fan of PPTs, so I'm just missing the whiteboard so much. So I just put it this way. So instructions, peer learning, and then why does this listen to me never works in any class? And then why should we never ask, do you understand students, whether it is adults or young learners or anyone? But before we get to that, I shall let you know that my youngest student is 6 years old and my oldest student is 64 years old. So I had this opportunity to cover a wide range, having worked with several language schools, not several, actually only 2 language schools, King's Learning and British Council. I have interacted with general English, business English, and also for young learners. Fine. To start with the first point, instructions. We often give instructions and we are very sure that we have given the correct instructions. It is perfect, it is clear. But then when the students get to start working on a particular activity, you see that they are not doing what we ask them to do. This happens. And sometimes we give all our energy to give the instructions, spend 2 minutes to 3 minutes talking aloud, saying everything that we have to say. At the end, one of the students walks up and asks, sir or ma'am, can you tell me what we have to do? And we would have just finished explaining that. Yeah. So now there are 2 ways to handle, not 2 ways. The first aspect is with respect to giving instructions itself. It's a good idea to script the instructions, write it down. Even people with 10, 20, 30 years of experience in teaching, they script their instructions so that they don't miss out on something. And at the same time, you can also use technology to your advantage. Instead of you shouting out loud and wasting your energy, you can project it on the screen, even in a face-to-face classroom or in an online class. So this is the first step, scripting your instruction. And the next step is asking some questions. So these are called instruction checking questions. For example, you say something like, you have to work with a partner and talk about what did you do last evening? Share what did you do last evening with your partner, right? Work in pairs. So then the instruction checking questions should be preferably yes or no questions. And you can ask, will you work in pairs or will you work individually? And the students give us like, yeah, we have to work in pairs. And then you can ask, are you going to talk about what did you do last evening or what you did yesterday morning? They say, no, we'll talk about what we did last evening. So some questions like this help the students to make sure that they know what they have to do. And now these interesting people who walk up to you and ask, what should we do after all of this? Give them one answer, one word answer, which I got from one of my fellow teachers. You just tell them, ask. Okay, let them ask the fellow students and figure out what they have to do. In case of an online class, you can put them in breakout rooms if it's a Zoom platform that you happen to use, so that they can work with their fellow students and learn what they have to do from their fellow students. And if, in case of face-to-face classroom, you don't have to worry about it. Now, one more additional thing that you can do when giving instructions is, let's say you have 5 questions. For example, you have something like this. You have jumbled words that should be arranged in the correct order. Then the first particular sentence, you can write it and show it to the students and tell them how to do it. Do a demo of the first question and ask them to do the rest. So the demo helps a lot of students, especially if you're teaching students at lower levels of proficiency, who whichever language you're teaching or for whichever topic you're teaching. Yeah. So that is another part. Script your instructions, frame instruction checking questions, demo if necessary, and when somebody walks up to you, tell them, ask other people, rather than you wasting your energy in explaining over and over again and losing your energy. So learner-centered approach starts right here, motivating the learners to tell them that they can learn from each other, and it is not necessary that they learn only from the teacher. And the fact is, students like to learn from each other than from the teacher. And that's always better. You can just monitor, help them out wherever necessary, rather than you wasting the energy all the time. And it is not necessary. Well, this is with respect to instructions. And our next point here was, and at any point, if you have any question, please feel free to stop me and ask me about it. Next point I said is peer learning. Peer learning started already with our instructions. If somebody doesn't understand, tell them, ask other people. Now, let's say I'm teaching a second level topic. For example, now only when somebody knows what are nouns and verbs, then they can make sentences using a particular tense, like simple present tense or past tense or whatever it is. Now, for a different subject, it can be something else. Only so when someone knows what is force, they can define what is pressure, right? So it can be something like that for someone who teaches another subject. What if one of the students suddenly gets up and asks, like, what are nouns? We are in a different topic. We have moved to the next level, but then some student is struggling with the basic level. So traditional method, we will give the answer. But learner-centered approach, ask another student. Is there anyone else in the class who knows what is noun? Okay, then a few hands go up. Ask one of them to explain what is it. Yeah. So, and then, do you agree? Do you understand this? Okay, fine, great. Yeah. Now, sometimes you will have two different answers from two different students. Yeah. One student gives some explanation for noun, another gives some explanation for noun. Sometimes both can be right, sometimes both can be wrong, sometimes one is right and one is wrong. So in that case, you can pitch in and help the students to figure out what is right. Yeah. Fine. So if someone does not know what something is, before you give the answer, please do give a chance for the fellow students to explain it, so that your process, your work becomes much more easier. Children have their language, right? So it's easier for them to understand each other than you try to stand in the pedestal of a teacher and try to explain all of it and expect them to understand. So, and another aspect of learner-centered approach is, we tend to think the same teacher teaches all the 30 students and only 5 students score really well and they excel. What about the other 25? No, it's not the fault of a teacher. But then the 30 students come from 30 different socioeconomic backgrounds. They have, some people have people who speak English at home. Some people don't have. Some people make friends who speak English. Some people are made fun of if they speak English. So there are so many different categories of students. These 30 are not the same. The teacher is the same, but the 30 are not the same. So we have to make an effort to make sure we address the needs of all of them. Now the question may be like, how on earth do I find out about all the students and figure out? Yeah, you do know about all the students. That's how you fill their progress report, or even if you're teaching adults, you fill their reports at the end of a program. That you know about them. That's how you do it. So based on that, you can decide for whether you want to include a demo in your instruction or not. Right from there, your learner-centered approach starts being sensitive to not to the learner, but to the learner's needs, to make sure that they learn better. So first is, you're writing the, you can give a demo. And then another factor is including different kinds of things for people to learn. For example, videos, audios, so that people can learn from that. We can also include puzzles, jumbled words, like quiz, all of these, for kinesthetic learners to learn from. And of course, make sure you have lots and lots and lots of group activities so that students can learn from each other than relying only on one source. What is important in a classroom? Learning, not about from whom. Yeah. So let's take that off our head, thinking that if you have a question, ask the teacher. No, no, no. If you have the question, ask a fellow student. And then if you have, if you're not still clear, then yeah, you can ask us. We'll be happy to help you out. This, one of the things that I have learned as a part of my certification was, if students speak less and I speak more in a classroom, I get the practice. And is that why I have to conduct a class? Not really. So then how do I increase the students talking time and reduce my teachers talking time? This was a very big challenge for me. And one of the feedback that I got from a fellow teacher was that, you know what you have to do? Make sure you start every class with a group discussion. You can be a science teacher also, you can be an English teacher, whatever it is. You have a topic, right? So ask the students to discuss that topic, whatever they know about it already. Maybe what do you know about the functions of a heart? Divide the students into 3 or 4 groups with not more than 3 students in each group. You know what happens when there are more than 3 students in each group? If there are 4, one of them will go to sleep. If there are 5, 2 of them will take rest and 3 of them will work. So let's not have more than 3 students in any groups. Make sure they are in groups, they discuss, they work together, they collect all the information they have. So right from the word go, right from the first moment this class starts, they start talking to each other. So there's no way for your class to be silent now, unless they are writing or listening to something. Yeah, so these are different aspects of learner-centered approach. Whenever they have a question, first ask a fellow student to explain. And whenever they ask you to repeat instruction, again, ask a fellow student to explain. And ask them to work in groups, increase, look at all the possibilities where they can speak amongst themselves and learn from each other. These are few aspects of learner-centered approach that I wanted to bring to the table. And the third point that I wanted to discuss today, which is, why does listen to me never work? Listen to me, listen to the teacher, listen to the class. We have been saying this in school, college, and whatnot. We have been students in school and college. So many times we have heard listen to me. How much have we listened actually? Out of 100%, maybe 50, 60, 70, or 30, I don't know. But it is something that clearly doesn't work all the time. Now, then I learned that we have to give a reason for the students to listen. Give them a specific reason for students to listen, then they will listen. Now, the reason we give is, if you listen to the teacher, you will have a great life. Now, the teacher himself or herself doesn't know what a great life is sometimes. And sometimes when we say you have to score well in the exam, so you listen to it, this exam is going to possibly come after a month or so. Obviously, the student thinks like, I will do this 1 month later. Yeah. So give them a reason to listen to that immediately. So for that, I'm going to just give a very simple example. If you are going to ask somebody, to, sometimes I play videos, okay? And when I do that, I give them a task like this. There are 5 questions here. Yeah. I can't play the video, but yeah, these are like 5 questions which they have to answer after watching a particular video, which is like 7 minutes long. So now there's an immediate purpose for the student to listen to. Now you might wonder, this is a listening task. Yeah, this works for an English language class. What about a science class? Yeah, you can create something similar, or you can say you will have to talk about it with, with your team members after the lecture, and you have to, prepare a chart, or you have to, write an essay. All 3 of you together have to, in groups of 3, you will be writing an essay about heart or lungs or this or that. Yeah. So that is one way for you to figure out how to make sure the students listen. Students will not listen if you just say, listen up, listen to me. They don't get deviated. No, that doesn't work. Yeah. They are humans and they will get deviated. Yeah. The last part of this, after which we'll get into complete question and answer program. Monologue will end in another 5 minutes or so. The last part is, why should we never ask, do not understand, do you understand? Do you understand? We all have heard this question. And irrespective of whether we understood or not, we will say yes in most cases. At least 90% of the students will say yes, irrespective of whether they understood or not. So now we have to figure out whether they actually understood or not. For me, whenever I teach English, there are certain questions that I ask. Okay, imagine I'm teaching past forms. Yeah, so I have some questions to check if they actually understood or not. Yeah. Now, any of you can just unmute and answer. Just imagine yourself as students now. We played so many games. You have to answer. Forget about so. We played many games. Yeah, we can just keep it that way. We played many games. What about the first question? Did this action happen in the past? One of you can unmute and answer.
Yes.
Yes, it happened in the past. Okay, fine. So can anyone else tell me which word in the sentence makes you think so? Makes you think it happened in the past? Vijay ma'am? Which word in the sentence makes you think it happened in the past? Okay. Anyone else?
Is it we played?
Yeah, played. Played is the word that makes us think it happened in the past. Okay, good. Okay, Monica, how to write a negative form of this sentence? Monica? Okay, Vasanthi ma'am, how to write negative form of this sentence? We played many games.
Okay. Okay, which sentence are you asking me, Balaji?
There's only one sentence at the top. We played
okay,
many
how
games.
can I take? All right, we played. Okay, wait, just give me a minute.
No problem. No.
We played many games. We never played many games.
Yeah, you can say that also.
We can, or I shouldn't be altering the meaning, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't alter the meaning. Correct.
Okay, so in that case,
I think Vijay also has an answer. Yes, Vijay ma'am, go ahead.
Did you not play this in the past?
Negative form, not a question.
Oh, not a question. Okay.
Okay, so we played. Did this action? We played
Past negative. We played negative forms.
What did you say, Balaji?
We played many games is the positive sentence, right?
Okay.
So now how to convert it to negative forms?
We did not.
That's it. Yeah, we did not. Yeah, could you complete the sentence?
No, but then we're not supposed to alter the meaning. So we
no,
did.
So,
no,
understood that way. Sorry. Yeah, you have to alter the meaning. My bad. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we did not play many games.
Yeah, we did not play many games. Yeah. Perfect. We did not play many games. Okay. Now, do we know when this action happened?
In the past?
Yes, it happened in the past. It's just another way of asking the first question. Okay, now someone has asked a question and the answer to that is, yes, my boss appreciated me. In this case, what can be the question asked? Or what could have been the question asked?
Did your boss appreciate you?
Brilliant. Did your boss appreciate you? So now you don't have to ask, did you understand? Did you do this? Did you do that? It becomes a lot more easier for you to figure out whether a particular student understood or not. Yeah. So you can ask this to an individual, and then you can ask the rest of the students, did you understand? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, there was an echo, so I had to mute. So after you ask one student, just ask others. Do you agree with this or do you disagree with this? Use the advantage of chat box whenever you're teaching online, so they can only say yes or no on the chat. Yeah. Fine. So this is one way to figure out whether someone understood or not. Now, if you're a science teacher, you can, and you teach digestive system, you can possibly ask, is pancreas something that separates toxins from the, from the food, or is it some other, the work of some other organ? And yeah, they get to say yes, no. Preferably, these questions should be yes or no. Otherwise, it's very easy for the, for it to get more complex. So preferably keep it close-ended questions wherein the answers can just be yes or no. So 3 things: whenever you give instructions, script them, and ask instruction checking questions like yes or no questions to understand whether they got it or not. And the third part is give a demo. And even after that, if somebody walks up to you, tell them, ask other students. That's for instructions. The second part, promoting peer learning. Just like how you would ask some student to say, ask other students and figure out what you have to do. Whenever they have any questions also, first step, ask another student to explain. If they are wrong, you pitch in and give an explanation. As much as possible, let them learn from each other. Promote peer learning as much as you can. And they love to learn from each other than from the teacher. Yeah, it's the gap hasn't reduced so much yet. Yeah, they can be very naughty, but then they're not ready to ask questions yet to the teacher. And the third part is, where you stop saying, listen to me, and instead say, listen to me and answer these 5 questions, or watch this video and answer these 5 questions. Or after listening to this lecture for 10 minutes, you have to work in groups and write an essay about it, or something they have to do based on what they do, what they listen to right now in a matter of another 5 or 10 minutes. Now, then the last part is what I just told you. Let's stop asking, do you understand? Because we know the answer to that, which is yes. Instead, we will frame some questions, some yes or no questions to figure out if they have actually understood or not. If they haven't understood, no problem. First, take the help of another student who gives the right answer and ask them to explain, why do you think it is so? Then they give the explanation and other students catch up. If it still doesn't happen, then yes, the teacher has to pitch in. But then always, the first step is ask another student to explain, irrespective of whether it is a previous topic or a topic you taught now and somebody is not able to get it, whatever be the case. First, ask another student to explain. If it is hard for them, then yes, you as an expert can pitch in and give your explanation. So these are certain aspects with respect to learner-centered approach that I wanted to tell you all about. Some of these things you would have already known. Some of these things could have been very new to you. Now you can ask me any questions you have. I don't have answers to all the questions, but if I have, I will let you know. Otherwise, we'll learn from each other. We can ask many other teachers here and we can ask them. Yeah.
Okay, Balaji.
Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, probably like anybody else who can tell me. Now you were talking about, okay, let's say you said that learner-centered approach, and if there is a question that people want to ask, like, the students want to ask, and then we just kind of, take the help of another student.
Yeah.
What is the objective of this? Is this like, we do this in class regularly, but then we do it for, different reasons. Sometimes we do it because we want to, keep the others, grab the attention of the other learners. That's one thing. Sometimes we do it probably because we might have another learner whom we would like to hear from and understand, that person's understanding as well. But I'm completely not able to understand. I mean, like, not able to understand completely why are we asking another student to answer the question?
Yeah. Uh, for us, it is a little hard to speak the language of the students.
Okay.
Right? So, and for their fellow students, it is much more easier. So when they explain, it is going to be a lot more easier for the students to understand. That's one of the reasons. And the other reasons are, as you said, make it a lot more engaging rather than like us doing this one-way talk. So to make it more engaging so that we hold the students' attention for longer. I was teaching an MBA class. They said, sir, the topic was fantastic. All the topics were relevant. Your enthusiasm was great, but it wasn't engaging enough. So which means they did not have enough of opportunities to work with each other. You know, uh, there's a uh, what do I say? There's an activity that I conduct to enhance fluency of people, wherein it is like a television talk show, where I'll say like it's like coffee with Karan in English. I say, hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And today we have a very celebrated wildlife photographer with us in the studio today. And I just call out one of the students, and then I start interviewing that person. So now they get to speak on the spot from a different role. What happened was one of my mentors said, when you do this, you are asking questions. One of the students is answering questions. What about the rest of the people? I said, yeah, they are listening. They are listening. I mean, where's the listening task? So there's no listening task. So which means they are not listening, possibly. So what you can do to make it more engaging, divide them into pairs. One of them should play the role of a host, and the other can play the role of the guest. And then they can reverse the roles. So this way you can keep the entire class engaged. Or you can divide them into groups wherein they frame, they come up with some questions for the person who is on the hot seat. So there also they get to work in groups, and then they get to ask questions to the person on the hot seat. Everything boils down to one thing: making the session more engaging and making sure that none of them are idle. Instead, they are actually working on something.
Thank you for that.
Most welcome. Any other questions from any of you with respect to teaching, or any particular incident that you faced and you think you might possibly find a solution here?
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Monica. Yes.
Wishing you a happy Teachers' Day and to
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sir,
You
I
too.
teach. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I teach for the primary section, sir, grade 1 and 2. So the most common challenges that we face, the child will find this child is struggling in reading part. So that is the one of the major challenges we get. So we have tried out a couple of activities and also played some games where they find interesting through reading. One of I just wanted your suggestions, sir, how effective we can conduct. We are also conducting reading programs in our school where child their books are given, and we sit with the child and we teach them reading with all the phonic sounds, diagrams that we have. Any other suggestion for your from your end for the effective reading?
Okay. In the first place, the books we choose is very important. Okay. Sometimes the books complicate it a lot. So for specific age groups, it should be something that they can easily.
Yes, sir. We use Maverick books. That is with the age with age-related books only, sir.
Okay, fine. And when you went, I haven't went through that book. So when you went through the book, did you feel like it is easy for first grader or second grader?
Yes, sir. Because the books start with the bands. We have pink series book, yellow series book, where for grade 1 and below that it will be with 3 letters. The story will be with 3 or 4 letters, not more than that, and then with the high order words.
Okay.
Followed by.
Fine. Very good.
Because I would like to share one experience where where we are giving this program, the child is able to read the word at the first para, but when we go to the second para, the child forgets. Okay, he's struggling to read the same word. which he
Okay.
read in the first para itself.
So how long is a paragraph?
A small, sir, 3 to 4 lines.
3 to 4 lines.
Yeah, small.
I think that's a little, more, that's too much for a first grader or second grader. But for 3 to 4 lines, if a child reads, then of course the child will not be able to read the next paragraph again. The reason is reading is one of the most boring things to do for many people. No matter you are a teacher, professor, researcher, whatever you
Yes,
are,
yes, sir.
it's one of the most boring things for anyone to do. So it is natural to find that they are not so willing to read, or they forget. There's a lot of distraction. So the only way to go about it would be asking them to read either like now. How many students do you have in a class?
Right now it's online, right, sir? So we
Mhm.
have 20 to 22 students.
So now 20 to 22 students is very high for a very
Yes.
young class like first grade or
Yes.
second grade, right? You can have 3 or 4 or 5, max 6. Yeah. Beyond that you can't handle. When they are
Yeah,
very young, they need
correct.
technical support. They need all possible support that you can give. So now this one child reads, and the other children are like, okay, fine, let me rest for some time. Yeah. So we have to find a way wherein we can engage all of them. So to do that, now we may have hundreds of things, like it's not possible to make all of them read at one go, but let all of them read one paragraph and post it at a time on a WhatsApp group. If not on a WhatsApp group, you can create something called the Padlet. I'll show you how a Padlet is. Do any of you use Padlets for to collect your assignments or things like that?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you use. Yeah. So Padlet is a very interesting way to collect assignments. Let me show. So I was teaching simple present or something, and I asked people to write about someone's routine. Yeah. So they write their name at the top and they post these things. Now you said you are going to ask people to read. So you can upload audio files also. They just have to go to this plus icon, and then they say attach. Second. Yeah, here is the attachment. So they can go here. Yeah, there's an audio recorder itself now. So I think this is a new option for us. Or you can just click upload and see I can upload a song. Yeah. Now I am uploading a song. You can ask them to voice record whatever they are reading, and they can upload it. So this can make it a little more interesting also for the kids, rather than just reading to a teacher, and wherein they would not worry about being right.
Yes, sir.
So that they can let them do what they do, and then you can figure out from that. So the first thing would be to let them be, and only then we will know where they need support. So after they you figure out what are the specific areas where they need help, then we can go and help them with whichever area they need help with. So whenever I used to teach adults, whenever I used to teach pronunciation for adults, I used to teach all the 44 phonetic sounds and tell them how this works and give them tongue twisters, this and that. Later, I realized I'm torturing them unnecessarily. If one of them have an issue with maybe 4 phonetic sounds, let me teach them those and how they are mispronouncing those 4 phonetic sounds. That's what they need. So in a school, you might have a curriculum to follow. I understand that part. But yeah, you have to make sure that it is like they are taught this without even learning. They should never realize they are learning or they are being taught. So
yes, sir. Yes.
That is
we actually come up with many activities and all. So yeah, they are. But again, it's a little challenging. This part of the thing is little challenging because parents are more concerned. Okay, my child is not able to read. They try to compare with the other child.
Yeah, that happens.
Can I just say?
Yes,
this. So when ma'am said that the child finds it difficult to read, reading is actually at level 3 in terms of a language. It's like LSRW, right? So listening,
Yeah, LSRW
LSRW, so listening, speaking, reading, and then writing.
and writing. Yeah.
Why reading over there? That's basically because if the child has I mean this is just what I have learned over the years while I was teaching language.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
When the child has completely has been listening pretty well, and then the child starts speaking what he has
Speaking.
heard, right?
Hmm.
And by the time he or she masters a word, like for example, I don't know, maybe if the child wants to say a word, I don't know, the la and the ra, the child sometimes gets confused, right? There are children who sometimes
Yes, yes, ma'am.
and, so when they hear it again and again, and then when they pronounce it rightly, so now they have mastered the hearing part and they have stepped on to the next level, which is the speaking part, right? So now when the child has kind of, I would say, mastered, but then has a greater control over speech, will now be able to learn to read. Right.
Yeah.
So my point over here is because I have studied in the US way of system when I was a child, so I knew how they took us step by step, and that's why probably language, or rather the English language, which was like not a native language, right, for us.
Yeah.
We learned it that way, right? I mean, like English is not native. Now consider the fact that when we learn our own mother tongue, how do we learn it? We first
listening.
Family members keep saying, and then the
Yeah,
child
through
tries
listening.
that, stuff like that, and then comes the reading part. Another thing probably you might want to do, I mean, I'm sure you must be doing it already. Whenever first of all, yeah, I probably would agree that 4 or 5 lines for first grader can be a little too much, though many of the schools kind of say that at UKG level we teach our children to write, or sorry, read completely, and write full sentences, and probably start framing paragraphs as well, about writing about something in 3 or 4 lines, right? So here it's basically when I was learning, I mean that I can still remember that because it really impacted me so much. We were divided into smaller groups, and everything that we read, the teacher would show us what, if there is a picture in front, or if there is a verb or an action word, gasping or grasping or running, those kind of actions, and you make the kids do that, probably you can make a difference that way. You can help the child learn, because sometimes the child is finding it difficult to connect with what he hears, what he sees in front of you, and then what he's supposed to read that way. I mean, just out of experience, I just thought I'll share that with you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. We also
I just have a few things to share with you on this context. The thing is like about reading, right, Monica ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm running a school where we have daycare, pre-KG, LKG, and UKG. So my set is even smaller children from the age group 2.5 to 6 years. So here how do we introduce reading as like in pre-KG, we introduce them the rhymes. See, actually, what Vasanti ma'am said was right. The children, they listen first, listen to you, and then they start to speak. So that's the reason why we introduce rhymes to the children. So the rhymes help them so much, they start learning the language, whether they know the meaning or not, they start singing it. That is how they learn the vocabulary. And here, what we in our school, what we do is we slowly introduce a spell bee contest. That is, you might think that it is very early for the school to introduce spell bee for a pre-KG. That even that is the stage where even the child doesn't know to identify the alphabets. But the thing here is, like for example, we introduce 2-syllable words, that is 2-letter words, N-O, no, T-O, two. So that word has been by hearted. The child doesn't know the meaning. let me be very clear, the child does not know the meaning, but the child knows like the pronunciation. He learns the pronunciation. So when he goes to LKG, he gets into the 3-letter words where that vowel words, that is A words, E words, I words, O words. So these vowel words are there, and the child again he starts by hearting it, and the child learns. He becomes familiar with the words. See, every word cannot be taught through phonetics. There are sight words which you cannot follow the phonic rules, right? So what we do here is to encourage them with in reading, because if the child doesn't know what, maybe one if in one sentence, if the child is not able to read more than 2 words, the child loses the interest there. Okay, so we give them sentences where, for example, a cat on the mat. Okay, so something like that we give them, so that they gain interest in reading. So I think this can be followed. You can get into the spellings of the sight words, and spell bee competitions. So these kind of activities will definitely help you, and that had I have seen a lot of good results with that. And the children love to read books in my school. If you see LKG, UKG students, they are very good with the language, the spoken language, and with the reading skills. So yeah, and a few things. I think Vasanti is she witnessed a few of my students' speech also. So this is how we do actually. So I would like to share that with all of you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
That was really wonderful. Thanks so lot, Vijay. Thanks a lot.
Thank
It is like, it's a very nice way to go about reading.
Yes.
Great. So, any other questions from anyone? That was a very interesting discussion. Dr. Narendra, Mansa, any specific questions from any of you?
Yeah, actually, I work with the students, college students. I teach yoga for them, but it's like a part-time I do, and it's a art and art kind of a college, art and technology kind of a college. They combine even art and even technology together. So they have even the physical aspects and the things. So means physically also they do drawing and other thing, and they also work in online tools.
Okay.
So there actually I work as a part-time as a yoga instructor, where every year, whatever I'm taking the students, it will be like only 4 months I work, and there will be different group of students joining in each and every batch. Okay, so it'll, and they don't have a continuous classes also, like it's not a continuous sessions. They can choose anything they want. They have so many options. If they are choosing yoga, they will come to me, or some other faculty. So how here, how to get engaged, you told, to connect the people with us. Initially we will be inspired to teach them. What happens is, these students, they are throughout all part of the place they come, and sometimes they get so you told make some groups and get engaged, so that will be but yoga, I don't know how to work like that. So can you give some ideas how we can keep more engaged with this kind of students? Because sometimes, even if one student, if they complain some problem, the other students also, again, they also tell some reasons, and they don't practice sometimes.
Okay.
This all happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that will happen. The complaints we can't avoid. And no matter how good we are.
Yeah, they give some reasons, and they don't because of that energy. Because the whole environment. No, if the whole students are active, then it is active and more of energy. If one or two students, if they tell and they sit down or something happens, the whole atmosphere itself becomes very silent and somewhat, and they are not more actively participating.
Can I say something here?
Yes, Vasant.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Narendranath, I'm so happy that you're teaching something really, really valuable to kids. It's so sad that they don't realize the value of it. We at the age of 40 plus, we are now wondering if we had that as part of the curriculum. Now, why am I mentioning that? First of all, there are certain, unfortunately, in our education system, certain things have been given a backseat, like yoga.
Yeah.
Coming into the forefront, right? And therefore, people think all these co-scholastic skills that we called or extracurricular skills that we, bring into our education system are fillers or something like that. It should be the other way around. It should be the other way around, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because, I'm like, exactly the thing that, your first subject should probably be, English language, and then probably maths comes next, and science comes. And then after that, probably your social science, and then sometimes maybe your language or something like that, right? This is what we have been following throughout. Okay. So that's something that we'll have to really, really fight against time and, wait for the new change to set in. Till that we can't. Number two, if you ask me, because I'm going to talk in my, how I think, my perspective is that if I have to learn yoga, I need to know why I need to learn yoga. I teach social sciences for grades 9 to 11. So every time, though, see, in grade 11, students have chosen that particular subject, right? After 10th, you get to choose. But they still ask, I don't know why I'm learning political science. I don't know why I'm learning history, so on and so forth, right? So the basic thing is that, the children need to understand why they're learning, if at all they're learning. Now, every time we learn mathematics, every time we learn some other subject, we keep constantly telling them that, need to know the science of this, you need to know the history of this, you need to know the background of this. Similarly, probably it will help if you make the students understand that, this is the they are.
Yeah. That's true.
Help.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I would want to know.
Okay, sure.
This, am I learning this just because there is a teacher absent, or am I learning this just because we are required to fill up grades in certain columns or something like that? Why? I'm like, if that is the case, I'm not interested. I'll just probably make do with the last moment, picking up the book and mugging up something and then omitting it on my paper, right? But then if I'm supposed to be learning it and I see some benefits, I can come across more or less sooner or later, then yes, definitely. I would definitely be interested in that.
Yeah. And actually, I came to know why the students are not actively participating, because they are engaged throughout the day. They have so many assignments. Okay, in the regular curriculum activity, they are assigned with so many assignments and all the other stuff. They don't even have time to sleep or eat. That is the reason they are not actively participating. But they have been, actually, it was like I'm working since 2016. I'm working there in that college. Then initially it was named as co-curricular activity. Later on, it was mentioned as to give more importance to this. They mentioned it as they changed the name into holistic education. So they can choose anything, some activity, okay, because they are always stressed, the students, because they are working mentally also, even physically more. So they need to get engaged into some artistic kind of thing, like it can be a yoga, it can be learning of music, or it can be any sports activity. So whatever, even aerobics or any kind of things they can choose, and they have to have the 100% attendance, or at least minimum 80 to 90% attendance. Yeah,
No,
that's what
I basically feel that these are like fillers. Like when you have a program, stage program, and we add some music or something like a filler just to like while away the time. Here, these are like fillers where you have to compulsory, because these are mandatory things which every university should need, and they have to grade them.
Okay.
And I've seen that in many places where, like, if a teacher has not completed a portion, the teacher is very, like, she takes the art period or yoga period or a PT period as her, like, time to complete all her portions. So this has to be like, that is what Vasanthi said was absolutely right. The child should know the value of these
We have
extracurricular
to,
activities.
okay.
Only then they will take more interest, and the school management should also take school or university, whichever the institutions are. So they have to take the initiative to make the children understand. I personally feel that these extracurriculars are like the one which is going to like be more important for the child's overall development. So you have to be very particular about that, the teachers.
Sir, and if I can just add one more thing, there are so many things in yoga that can bring immediate benefits. For example,
Definitely,
memory retaining, or probably I remember one of my Sanskrit teachers would tell me to just before the examination, or if I feel so sleepy after lunch or something like that in class, I'm supposed to, like, I just turn on my video, I'm supposed to rub the back of my head, like, the lower part of my head, and if I do that, I kind of wake up my nerves. And then the these are the pressure points or something like that. It worked. I'm like, I don't know if it is true, but then it worked for me.
It works because it's actually, our body is nothing but it's meridians. It's connected with the meridians also when we connect with the acupuncture or the energy healing medicine. It is, so all the points are connected. So that only even mudras, they work in the part of yogic concepts. We have meridians. So through meridians, the channels are there. Through that only, we have to balance our meridians to have a complete balanced body mind. So they are the metaphysical representation which cannot be seen.
I think Mr. Balaji, what he said in the initial, that is involving the peer group. So if a child is not doing, make the other learn from his friend. Like, you can pair up the groups and ask them to do the yoga. I think that will work better.
That's what that's what I got some input. So I will work in a different way, but now it is online. As you suggested, it's going on online only now. I have to see. Now it's going to start this year. When it starts, it's offline or online. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So you can do that. As many people tend to learn yoga, you can have 4 or 5 kids who have already, students who have already learned yoga, and then make them lead a particular group and take care and help them this and that. Alternatively, when it is online, I think you can take advantage of a lot of online resources. It can be just playing a song at the beginning of the session. Whenever they feel bored, you can once again pitch into do something else, so that they don't feel like they are doing only only the yoga, or they get to relax. So
and actually I also conduct at least 5-10 minutes of meditation and breathing techniques, and I use music for that. So many people they practice and they get the benefits also. Whoever is practicing, always they give 100%. Whoever is not practicing, always they are absent, they come late. It's like that.
And that is always there. That's always there. But when you use music, sometimes it can also be like, for example, in language classes, sometimes I use music and ask them to fill the missing words. That is like a specific task. They have to do something. But sometimes it is like, if it's a real classroom, I give them a task, I ask them to work on it, and then I tell them, you have to finish this before the song ends. So they have nothing to do with the music, but it just
it keeps them engaged.
It just keeps them engaged, makes them feel a little better, something like that. But sometimes you can just play music and ask them to dance. They can even hide their video for that 3 or 4 minutes. so that there's no have to there. So they can, if they don't know how to dance, they can just jump. They
Actually, the dance and all, it's going to help them to come out of the suppression or the emotional imbalance. Everything is going to come out and they are going to explore themselves.
Yes. I have an adults batch that I usually start at 6 in the morning.
Okay.
So at that time, I want to make sure that I am also awake, they are also awake. So I always start with a peppy number. And, people, if they want to dance, they can dance. Otherwise, if they want to jump, everyone knows how to jump. Even if they don't know how to dance. So they can just do that. Something in addition to teaching. For no reason. There is nothing connected to it. Just be yourself. Just be relaxed. Great. Fabulous. Wonderful. So is there anyone else who had any specific questions when you came for today's session? Okay. I would like you to explore, as some of you or many of you are teaching kids. Even if you're teaching adults, this might help you. There was a person named Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers was a man who appeared in front of a senator, who's like an MP in the US in 1969. And he asked for $20 million so that he can make a program for children on television. In 1969, he asked for $20 million and he also got it for making programs for children. His programs are very brilliant. He speaks about very simple family situations and things like going to a dentist and having a haircut and all of it. His program's name is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I think it is Roger's Neighborhood or Fred's Neighborhood. Roger's Neighborhood, I think. There's a movie which is a biography of him, biopic of him, which is called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. So Fred Rogers is the name. You can search for his speeches. You can search for how he convinced a senator. That video is also available on the internet. You can also see a lot of his videos wherein we get to know several aspects about how he teaches different things to children. He doesn't teach any subject as such, but he tells them a lot about how crayons are made, how whatever a child would like to know. And in addition to that, this gentleman is someone who spoke about, as it also happened to be in the US, he spoke about diverse racism and all terrorism and many other factors like that, which you can't easily talk to children. But then they happen to see it every day, like some or the other way. So he spoke about all of that in a way a child can understand and choose what he or she has to do. It's a very beautiful program. He has come up with some wonderful things. There are lots of his speeches also available on interviews available on the internet. So maybe you can check that out. His name is Fred Rogers. I'm putting that on the chat. Fred Rogers. He's no more. He passed away in 2003. And his wife was also working with him, I guess. She left in 2018 or so. But yeah, so this is the man. He had come up with a very amazing program for children. I think it's Roger's Neighborhood is the name of the program. There are some episodes available on it. So this one person can have answer to a lot of our questions and or just inspire us in different ways, especially if you're teaching very young children, like primary and pre-primary. And some of his videos are useful for adults as well, where he talks about managing anger, this, that. It's a very interesting one. All right, fine. So I'll wait for 1 more minute for any of you to ask any questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap the session. Okay. 1 minute seems to be very long silence. Okay, fine. So if any of you have any questions, please do reach out to me. All of you possibly have my number already, and if not, my email ID. So do reach out to me, and yeah, please do welcome me to your institutions to conduct any kind of sessions for teachers or for students to teach English. I'd be glad to do that. Of course, for a fee. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. It was lovely. Happy Teachers Day, all of you. Have a great year. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.